Unidentified media. It's like lost media, but with like 2 extra steps. It's pretty self-explanatory. We all start out as unidentified media. Yes, even you, Lost Media Wiki mascot. Despite the term unidentified media being something that was coined like 8 years ago and didn't really get popular till like 3 years ago, there's so many cases that could be considered unidentified media that people don't normally call so. Stuff like Clockman, the Hong Kong 97 Game Over screen, and Hiragata are all really famous cases that could be considered unidentified media. But we're not going to be talking about any of those classes today. Instead, I have this random word generator. I'm just going to pull a bunch of random words from it, and by some huge coincidence, it generated the names of every single entry from layer 4 of the unidentified media iceberg made by YouTuber Semidus. And by the looks of that, we have our video. This is the 4th part of my video series covering this iceberg because I watched a video about this exact iceberg like 2 years ago and it was outdated, so I took things into my own hands and covered a complete version of the iceberg because no one else would, because no one else cares. So no soul will ever feel the pain I had to when watching that video ever again. If you missed the first 3 parts, well, you missed nothing much because it's just a bunch of interchangeable stories of pieces of media no one cared about. But hey, if this scratched an itch you had for people not remembering shit, those other 3 parts are right there.
Moved out to Langley recently with a plain and simple dream.
When I show you this image, what is the first thing that comes to mind? Boom, boom, boom. Wrong! What you should have answered is the thumbnail for the YouTube upload of the Lost Wave song, C.I.A. When the guy she tells you not to worry about is a funny FBI and you're just a C.I.A. If you want to know who to blame for you being known as just a stupid C.I.A., blame this guy, Data Freck, as he was the one who brought this to light, not me, on this forum. Okay. According to him, it's not his fault. He just got it off of a cassette tape in 1984, and it was recorded in Canada. Well, someone's gotta take the fault for this. Aha! We got him. Look at this guy, DJ Formaldehyde. He claims that he found it on one of his friend's cassettes. A cassette that recorded songs off CNNY. Recorded songs off CNNY. CNNY FM, a Canadian radio station that played new wave and alternative music. Okay, well, that's a good excuse, but I still think he's bullshitting. He's totally guilty. Now, one thing we do know is that the song used a synth called the Korg Poly 800, which was used for the strings. Now, this synth is actually one of my favorite sounding budget synths of the time. Too bad you can barely fucking hear it because of the quality. Now, the blame game unfortunately cannot be won at the moment as the song remains unidentified to this day. At least I hope so until this video comes out. In a post-Lost Wave world where all the big songs everyone wanted solved got solved, this one slipped through the cracks. Which is why I have like a third of the stuff to say about this entry compared to the other Lost Wave entries in the prior videos. But a lot of people want this song to be found. Me included, so I can blame someone. Now, I'm no scholar in the field of unknown songs about American intel groups sung by Canadians, but my favorite / most promising theory so far is that the song was aired as a part of the 5th annual CFNY Ontario talent search contest, which aired in late 1984 and featured over 100 bands. So digging through the records of the time about this event has gotta be helpful for something. Also, I just realized I haven't shown the snippet of the song, so here you go. Okay, so I'm out of people to blame, so I'm just gonna blame this guy. Or the people who made Subways of Your Mind. It's a creepy D's game. So we have upon our eyes another Reddit post, because we really needed another one. This iceberg is a Reddit post ethnostate. This post comes from user OliveScab, a post from the Creepy Gaming subreddit, where he details a game he remembers playing. Allow me to read it to you, because why else did you watch this video instead of just reading it yourself? Nintendo D's. Early 2000s. Creepy D's games. Hi there. I remember when I was younger, probably around 7 or 8, I'm currently 18, my dad came home with one of those D's chips that allow you to download a shit ton of games onto it for free. He went to a website, downloaded a bunch of games, probably like 100, and gave it to me. I had an absolute heyday with all of them, and the majority of the games were really light, stuff like Mario Basketball and Animal Crossing World War. There was this one stupid game though that haunted me so bad as a kid, and I have no recollection of its name. I remember the very beginning of it. The name of the company started with a K or a C for sure, and then a white screen appeared, and there was a bone slowly dripping blood, all with a white background. I don't remember much about it, because after this, I was scared shitless, TBH. I feel like the company was Konami, but when I searched for Konami horror DS games, all that came up was pretty much Dementium, and I'm pretty sure that's not what I'm looking for. // I'm sorry for the lack of info, but if anyone has any sort of recollection of what I'm talking about, I'd be so happy. Edit. Hi guys. So, I uncovered some information that might be helpful, I hope. First off, I'll list anything more I can remember. Once again, DS game for sure. I remember it utilized both the top and the bottom screens. I remember it not being in English, that's why it freaked me out so much. I'm guessing Japanese, but it could have been another language. I'm just assuming Japanese. I talked to my dad to see if he recalls anything, though it's a long shot. And with my help, we narrowed down to the fact that it was most likely a game downloaded from an old BitTorrent site called IsoHunt. He said it was a very similar site to the Pirate Bay, and since IsoHunt shut down in 2013, I know this game was before 2010. It all adds up. Plus, I remember the name. It started with a white screen. The name of the company started with a C or K. It's likely Capcom or Konami. And last but not least, the game began showing some sort of bone, dripping bone off it. I remember the bone appeared on the top of the DS screen and it dropped blood to the bottom of the screen. And I remember there may have been a floorboard. Maybe the blood was dripping to the floorboard and eventually it showed drips. There was a dialogue, although not in English. I remember it had eerie music and added to the freakiness. It took place inside a room, not outside. The game was not Ace Attorney though. They began very similarly, I will say that. I hope the information about this site helps to search a little bit. You're all wonderful people. And for real, thank you for your help in finding this. Greater than 3. I'll be on here constantly. Hehehe. Love, Olive. Well, that was sure unidentified, but not very interesting. Listen, it doesn't matter if the game is haunted or not. This is still just the opening to Ace Attorney 1. You are gaslighting yourself, mister. It's DS, and it could be creepy to children. Not me, though. I'm big. I turn 12 next March. This post is a lesson to not bootleg children, because it can lead you to believing that this game is not just the Ace Attorney 1 opening. There were other games that were considered candidates, like this one that the OP mentioned, Dementium, and one look at it, and yeah, this isn't it. Or Hayagarigame, I think that's how it's pronounced, DS. Toshi Densetsu Kai Jiken. Yeah, this one doesn't look like Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney either. Okay, OP swears it's a D's game, but what if it's like a mobile game. Like, because you know how, like, DS games kind of look like phone games when you run them on an emulator? He could have very well downloaded, like, Baby Shaker, and he doesn't remember it because it's lost now. So I've come to the conclusion that the creepy DS game is, in fact, I'm using up all the juices in my head to come up with a way to start this segment that doesn't start with, so here you have a post. So here we have a post in the Lost Media Wiki forums. It's been a minute since we've seen you. Our entry is told by this user, AriChan95, where they detail a cartoon they remember seeing as a youngling. Ari was browsing through the internet archives, like you do, and randomly remembered a cartoon about a caterpillar. Now, the most important detail they remembered is that the art style was similar to that of Caillou, with the white border, painted look and all that. They also recalled that the caterpillar was a stupid fucking pussy whimsy bitch that couldn't hurt a fly to save his life. Stupid piece of shit. Fuck waste of space. And there were other insect companions the caterpussy had. To be honest, what OP is describing kind of reminds me of Kipper the dog. Only the best show out there. But with insects instead of mammals. The recalled art style of this lost cartoon is literally the Kipper art style. However, Kipper was no bitch, unlike that stupid fucking caterpillar. Fuck useless retarded caterpillar bitch ho. Biggest bitch in that show was either Tiger or Pig. Never Arnold though. Arnold shatters the agendas in ways your favorites could only have wet dreams about. Also, when I was younger, it confused the hell out of me why this thing was named Tiger. Like, it had a young, in-dev phase-brained me thinking he was an actual tiger and not a Scottish Terrier. Cause, like, a pig was an actual pig, although he was a complete disaster. As I'm sure you saw earlier, the OP provided an image of what the cartoon might have looked like, although this is just a rough estimation and not the cartoon itself. And I really wish OP's memory is off, cause if the caterpillar actually looked like this, I'm gonna hate it more than I already do. I've gone past the point of judging a book by its cover. I'm judging something that literally doesn't exist. The OP said the cartoon could have been made any time from the 80s to 2000s, which is the worst attempt to narrow it down that one could have made. The last clue OP gave us is that the cartoon came on a VHS that also contained episodes of the nozzles, nozzles? I don't know. And man, I have a soft spot for like these 80s, 90s preschool animes like this and Little Bits. No Sanrio cartoons though, I'm not on that shit. And with that, the search to find this little piece of shitty insect show begins. Now, I'm sure one idea that many brains came up with when I was describing the show was some sort of animated adaptation of The Hungry Caterpillar, but OP confirms that the show was not an adaptation of The Hungry Caterpillar in any way. And I agree, the description doesn't really match beyond the painted art styles. A couple other cartoons were proposed, like The Mirthworms. And what you see right here is the reason why we must stand against big pharma companies and products, cause this guy had a family, and Mucinex just fucking killed him. Sickening stuff. The Glow Friends, someone nodded from nostalgia when I said that. Someone had proposed a cartoon called Katie Caterpillar, and OP said this was the closest looking cartoon, although they remembered the caterpussy being a male, surprisingly. And this doesn't look like Kipper, but I'll trust the OP's word on it, whatever. There was one more proposal. Stowaways on the Ark, a German movie from 1988, and god damn it, he looks exactly like this fucker. Although, he's a woodworm and not a caterpillar, so we're safe for now, and the OP has yet to respond to this post to confirm or deny it. To this day, the unknown caterpillar cartoon remains unidentified. What a shame. Well...
Oh well, guess there's nothing I can do about it. And there's no point worrying about something you can't do anything to fix.
A lot of people really like to look back on the era of the late 2000s and early 2010s internet with fondness, but it wasn't all good. Remember advice animals? Actually, what am I saying? This is the peak of humor. Eukaryotic organisms providing therapy. There were many variations of the advice animals, and one of them was the annoying Facebook girl. This was meant to display annoyance. Well, that's not exactly true. It's more like the annoying Facebook girl is just the most contradictory person ever. Like, tell them to kill themselves and the first case of immortality would be achieved. Now, this entry is kind of like half solved because we have the original image, it's right here, but we don't know where it comes from. The original image was reposted on some Reddit thread in 2011, so the actual image's source and who the woman is anyone's guess. But if you ask me, I just call this solved. I don't really think we need to know who this girl is or which Facebook account this image was posted on. Nah, I'm just kidding, let's find her and fucking kill her. There was this post by a Reddit user named Boyan from late 2011 on the r/funny subreddit that stated that they were in contact with someone who was friends friends with the annoying Facebook girl and stated that she was very confused about all the attention the image has been getting. However, this little fairy tale is believed to be a bunch of sludge, as the Facebook account was only about a month old, and the photos on the account were only posted about a week prior to the Reddit post, so oh well. There was another instance of folks of Facebook claiming to be acquainted with the AFG. This time it was from the Eastern Illinois University meme page. One user even linked an image of herself with the woman of interest. However, it appears that this image has since been removed, which, as we all know, is the #1 side of a conspiracy. So let's get out of here before I'm reunited with my son. It's just not fair, man. It's just not. It's not fucking fair, man. Fuck, man.
Green, what's your problem, Green? What is your problem? Miss I alone.
Strange cartoon about a green man. Now that sounds interesting. Well, this is what I signed up for. How do I make this longer than the source brief segment about this? So Sarah here remembers an odd cartoon about a green man that once aired on Cartoon Network. This supposedly happened sometime in the late night. However, it was a child's term for the late night, which can be pretty skewed because when I was a kid during the weekends, the latest I was allowed to stay up was towards 10 p.m., which I say as I currently write this script at 3 in the morning. So it was probably like 6 p.m. during in December for young Sarah here, or she's misremembering Cartoon Network for Adult Swim. Sarah says the animation was some stop-motion short that featured a short, green, bald man, which she describes as, and I quote, looked like a mix of a zombie and Igor, and also provided a really helpful illustration to visualize what it looks like. Oh yeah, and he also had puckered lips for some reason, which makes this short sound like a flash animation. There were 2 scenes that Sarah was able to recall. One where a man eats some red guts off the floor, and another where a man is walking across a hill at night, scenically. Invader Zim, said the Reddit commenter. Okay, aside from that answer, the other suggestions that weren't from deeply disabled individuals helped profile what kind of animation this was. We know that it wasn't an internet animation, as the OP didn't have any sort of internet access, and it probably was not a full series of any sort either. Bump in the Night was a pretty good suggestion given, but the OP said this wasn't it either. One suggestion that Sarah did not eliminate the possibility of is Robot Chicken due to the stop-motion animation used in the show. However, I feel that someone would have already pointed out the exact segment that resembles the short described. I've watched a fair amount of Robot Chicken, and I've never seen anything that even reminds me of this short. Also, Robot Chicken is mostly like pop culture spoofs. Like, what would Robot Chicken even be spoofing to make a short like that? Oh, wait, I know. Honestly, this short just kind of gives me the vibe of something that would air on Sunday Pants, which, if you don't know, was this short-lived Cartoon Network show that was a compilation of shorts not produced in-house by Cartoon Network, otherwise known as the only Cartoon Network show of its time where you could watch British Servants of Lucifer and then adultery within 3 minutes of each other. However, I've watched every episode that aired on Cartoon Network, and I'm ashamed to share I recall no such short. Now, most of you are probably going to say, oh yeah, this is probably one of those wacky 3 a.m. Adult Swim bumpers. And yeah, you're probably right. That's probably the most likely outcome. Sarah gave some final words in the original post and says that this is... Sarah, don't be ridiculous as to throw that term around on this. This is the unidentified media iceberg, you... dumb blonde.
From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
Does anyone know what the f*** this thing is? Now, if you don't know, the Library of Congress is fucking massive. They have like over 100 million items in their archives. And like naturally, when you're digging through your house, you're gonna find some hidden stuff in between the cracks and go, what the fuck is this? Well, the Library of Congress isn't much different, as they've just sat on a pile of unidentified garbage they forgot to account for just stuck in between the seats. So, the Library of Congress published all of these forgotten, unnamed relics on their blog with the help of board member Carrie Odell. I thought you were a woman. Now, the iceberg links this specific article, but it's actually an entire series of articles on the library's website by Odell, detailing the journey. It started with over like 200 images, but it's now just down to 14 images left that need identifying. So hold my hand and suck my dick while we go through this journey of the Library of Congress's unidentified photos. Our first image is of this gentleman. It was taken at Conway Studios in Los Angeles, California, and you can just say your mind about who this is. He looks like 30 different people. He looks like Humpty Dumpty. The author confirms that this is not law grade. He looks just like him. Or Boris Morose. He looks just like... Now, it kind of looks like he's in a classroom, so maybe he has like high academic prowess. He's talking to us like how a narrator would at the start of a documentary. He looks like he's missing a cigar. Like he needs a cigar. This man behind the camera is not Ben Mado, Fred Friendly, Franks Kafka, or Ruben Mamolian, he says. Yeah, duh, it's Sonics. The author also gave a couple of names that haven't been thrown out yet, and it also states that the camera in the photo is a Graflex Graphic View, which was manufactured from 1941 to 1949. So maybe it's a behind-the-scenes photo or something. The author also rudely comments on the earlobes like, "Jeez, man," attacking those who aren't identified enough to defend themselves. This guy looks like he'll kick my ass at chess and then write a symphony. Look at that profile shot. He was proud of that. Oh, I know this one! It's LA-based band Flying Tigers. I know because it says right there. I swear, the author is just making up some of these names. What do I even say about this? Like, yeah, they look like they do drugs, or something like that. Their biography says they're one of the most exciting bands of the year, which is really sad if they're telling the truth. It seems like all of us missed the excitement that they potentially had. Man at the radio is not actor E.G. Marshall. Who is he? I don't know, but he looks Russian. I don't know if I'm like actually disabled, but is that a clock he's jerking around with? I don't know. Let's just give him a nickname like John Doe or something. I'm sure that's not taken. Up next, we have some photo taken in Boston in 1958. He is not William Lamparski, but he could be Boston Deputy Mayor John P. McMorrow, but that is unsure. What is sure is that he seemed to be a pretty big Mary Martin guy. He died in 2008 at the age of 82, so a Luigi board will be needed to confirm if he is in fact the man in the photo. This photo is not of rock star Kay Gardner or actress Eva Pezerkova. It's of David Bowie. None of these women, you know the drill, stick it in your milk cartons. So this is an old ass photo. It looks like it was taken underwater, so that's how you know it's old. We'll have to go around asking every gravestone in the area if they recognize this photograph. There's been a lot of possible names proposed, such as... Or it could be none of them. Or it could be all of them. Now this is a white girl from the 60s who loves the shape of the Empire State. Play her some Beatles music and protest about the US government forcing her boyfriend to fight people with the last name Yang, and you have a new friend. Oh wait, it's Joanna Cassidy. I should have kept reading. So this photo right here had Cincinnati stamped on the back of it, which was probably some sick joke. The illustration seen in the photo is by Herb Gardner, who is not this guy. Neither is he David Mamet or Shel Silverstein. It looks like more shit is drawn on the back here. It appears the image is based on the play I'm Not a Rapport, or a Rappaport? Yeah, I guess. The author writes, "Please help us solve this mystery." The man in the photo is Sam Gilman, which is kind of crazy how long it took to find this out because there's a Schreiner certificate that can be seen in the photo, which is given out by the Sesotris Shrine located in Nebraska. This was a pretty recent solve happening in July 2025. So this is a still from some unknown film, some Japanese lunatic with a sick elderly Jewish lady. I can't bear to stare at this for too long. Some have said this looks like an adaptation of a Russian folktale called Baba Yaga, a story about some old hag who walks with chicken legs. Yeah, this one's probably gone for good. It's one of the billions of old films that never be documented and gone forever. Its purpose was to die and leave you and me wondering, what the fuck was that? It's none of them. Some fucking woman who can be my grandma, your grandma, everyone's grandma, or no one's grandma. We could just sit here and guess. The ones with the butt chin are more likely to be her grandchild. Some unknown singer. My guess is that she could be a soul singer, but who knows? She could be singing fucking Sewer Slut for all we know. She is not Carmel Quinn or Patricia Corbett. It's just some fucking impure guy who isn't Dave Thomas. Or these two either. This image is inspired by artist Hajime Sorayama. I don't know, it's either some shit space movie or like a really, really weird anti-abortion ad. These two fucking facts who could literally be anything in the world. Like, look at the debunk leads list already. Dig up old photos of your dad and he probably looks like this. Hell, I look like this. You probably looked like this at one point in time. If this gets solved, I'm calling bullshit. It doesn't matter! What's to say these aren't women or dogs or something? It's the vaguest image ever. So those are the 14 images from the Library of Congress that remain in doubt. A lot of randoms and a metal baby. What a mystery this truly was. It was more interesting than every previous entry on this layer combined, though.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.
No, seriously, what do you want from me? What is there to say here? I mean, it's another Lost Wave song, so the streak had to be broken. I don't have much to say here. The link leads to a Vocaroo link, so take a listen. So upon deeper digging, this originates from What's That Song? I know, shocker. This guy named FunkyBoy01 uploads the snippet. The first question asked is, do you have a longer snippet? The OP is quick to reply and provides a longer 55-second snippet, which is the one you just heard. This guy makes a subreddit for the song and proceeds to get laughed at by Mr. Egg. I have never seen someone make Mr. Egg laugh. Eventually, a guy named NeonBlue80 found the song after discovering that he had a demo tape from a guy named Steve Kipner, and found that the song titled Don't Call It Love was the song that was posted by FunkyBoy01. According to this YouTube comment, which I will take as gospel, Steve said, "I'd actually forgotten about the song, but it was a great listen to again. The story is, it was only ever a demo, never released. I wrote it with Paul Bliss, who wrote Heart Attack with Olivia Newton-John, recorded it as Heart Attack as the follow-up to Physical. I don't know how this demo got onto the internet and it became a mystery, but I'm glad that it's been solved. Thanks for asking." One curious thing to mention is that FunkyBoy01 had posted another snippet of an unknown song, and one of the suggested leads for that song was a remix by Digital Boy. Which brings us to...
This was a triumph. I'm making a note.
So I had basically nothing to say about the previous entry, but with this one, you could say that it's the exact opposite. So to those out of the know, grab a snack, put your phone on silent, and sit back and watch a cinematic masterpiece about why the average person takes a lost media enthusiast for a fool. This is Digital Girl. A man named, okay, maybe not government, but like Had It on Vinyl shares a little audio bite of a song he claimed to have found on an old CD titled Techno Mix, with other songs of a similar genre. The other songs are rather simple to identify, but this one was a little tricky. Now, the audio snippet we've had of the song was rather high quality compared to the garbage we've seen in previous Lost Wave cases, and had a fun vibe to it. Kinda reminds me of Love Shine from Beatmania and other songs from that era. With everything in place for a mystery to solve, we begin searching. Yeah, all these results are not it, but what did you expect? Mystery over, guys! It's fucking inside to outside! I remember when this mystery was active, I believed this song to be one of the millions of Lost MySpace songs when MySpace was like, guys, we don't have enough Lost media, which I mainly believed because that era Digital Girl's sound encapsulates just screams something that would come from MySpace. However, if this was the case, I feel a paper trail would be easier to come across. They say that things on the internet are never truly lost. On the CD and on the rip posted by Had It on Vinyl, there's another song that can be heard in the first 16 seconds. This song would be identified as Oeo by Candy. Great name. Which honestly, I think sounds better than Digital Girl itself. It was a cover of some Cantonese pop song that apparently played in some crane machines in parts of Asia. I wouldn't know much about it because the crane machines here only play the Mappy theme. Dude, I just realized he describes the song as a fucking Barbie girl-like song. Yeah, Barbie girl? Digital girl? Material girl? We should contact Aqua to see if she knows anything. Saying that this sounds like Barbie girl is pretty suspicious behavior. Just as suspicious as the metadata of this song containing traces of FL Studio. But Had It on Vinyl claimed that he simply used FL Studio to record the CD rip of the song, so we're good. A few months would go by with some suggestions here and there, but then a big update would come from Had It on Vinyl on the Digital Girl Discord in March of 2024, when a list of songs from 2012 had been dug through, and a song titled Lost in the Code had been found. It was attributed to an artist named Emails, shit name. On April 3rd, Reddit user u/AdventStory had posted about a CD that he had gotten from his father, which did not contain Digital Girl, but contained similar sounding music. In the CD jewel case was a note attributing the song to this same Emails as mentioned by Had It on Vinyl. A mere 50 minutes after the original post by AdventStory, a user named u/NotSureHowBigYouAre had replied, saying that they found the songs on AdventStory CD on SoulSeek. With 2 tracks being attributed to Emails, this would all culminate on April 4th, when the Instagram account of Emails was discovered and contacted. Emails would confirm that the song was in fact a demo made by them, and later that day would upload the full demo and a completed version of the song alongside their other songs from their album Digital World. Digital Girl is Lost in the Code by Emails. But wait, some things just aren't adding up. Let's go back to the start. This snippet was the only one ever posted by Had It on Vinyl on What's That Song, which is kinda weird when you consider that Had It on Vinyl was super involved for the search of this song, and was aware of a community of people who search for songs of this nature. Wouldn't there be other instances of songs he found, like the other tracks on the CD? Take a look at other cases. Rarely do these Lost Wave songs come from an OP who only posted once. One of the leads that Had It on Vinyl was following was a lead that the song came from an artist named Malaga in Spain. In order to further his search into this lead, he took a trip to Spain to investigate artists who could have had something to do with the track, and on March 30th, posted this photo. However, during that day, around that time in Spain, it would have been extremely rainy and cloudy, nothing like the image he posted. This user, AdventStory, who posted about this supposed CD, had never posted anything about Lost Wave music prior. How would he know to share this rather niche piece of info to a subreddit which people were specifically looking for info about this artist Emails? AdventStory did not post about this CD anywhere else. Not to mention, the account that replied to AdventStory, Not Sure How Big You Are, had not posted anything prior to this post in over 5 years. Why would they now post a lead about this and so soon after the post had been made? What doesn't help with credibility is the fact that Had It on Vinyl is rather inconsistent with his dates. In this post, he states that his dad got the Technomix CD sometime in 2006 to 2007, but if you recall, he said he was following a lead for Lost in the Code by emails, which he found by looking through a database of songs released in 2012. If that doesn't help, what really doesn't help is the fact that the email's Instagram account is fake and had formerly gone under the name Whiskers. And to add the cherry on top, the email's music YouTube channel had been created the day that emails was contacted on Instagram, complete with the uploads and a f***ing logo for the channel. Why would there be a logo for a channel that would have been made on the spot? Due to the mounting pressure of all that bullshit, on April 5th, 2024, Had It on Vinyl had come clean, confessing that Lost in the Code by emails, more commonly known as Digital Girl, was
all just an elaborate hoax.
Had It on Vinyl would go on to state his reasoning for the Digital Girl hoax in a Discord interview.
Any release songs online? I mean, yeah, but so it's, you know, it's not another troll, another prank. I don't have 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 prank. I don't have.
It tastes, homie. Tastes alright. $600 to take that wiener in your butt.
Great reasoning, buddy. Anyway, everyone's time was wasted, and most people think the complete version is complete dog shit, so I'm glad it left a legacy to be remembered. This didn't disappoint me as much as it did for others when this revelation came out, because I already think everything on this iceberg is complete bullshit, even the entries that have already been solved. Like, okay, buddy, you expect me to believe that everyone knows that is from a fucking porno? You're done, buddy. Great movie, no post-credits scene, next entry.
Fuck me! Fuck me! Ha!
So here is a phenomenon of people seeing what appears to be a bizarre ad that doesn't really seem to advertise anything. Or it could be advertising ad blocks so you stop seeing the ad. This ad, or series of ads, has been cited on Hulu and Twitch, but it's entirely possible these ads were broadcasted elsewhere. The earliest post I could find recalling these ads are from an r/Twitch post from 2018. Okay, Twitch, you can stop with the creepy ads that aren't advertising anything. The post describes the ads as such. A girl standing in the middle of an open field walking slowly towards the camera as the camera person backs up. A birthday cake collapsing on itself. A car following a truck on what seems to be a highway. A mattress falls out of the truck and the car swerves off the road and the camera stares at the mattress. A person walking slowly into a lake. A wheelchair in an empty room. This is the one with sound, and it is of a baby crying. This could be a creepy ad, or it could just be carbon monoxide poisoning. Another user on the Twitch subreddit would post about these strange ads they've been seeing on Twitch. Of the ads mentioned would be an ad about a hill, similar to the one posted earlier on r/Twitch. But would also post about other ads that were just people having a conversation in a foreign language. He might have just accidentally clicked on a different stream, man. I'm being completely honest here. And other weird stuff like random statistics charts. Okay, that's actually not that weird. And then also got this strange ad with a cake, which was later found in, yeah, this is nothing special, it's just a stolen video. These two ads would gain some traction, but many years later, talks about these strange ads on a hill would culminate in a post from... The post describes an ad that was seen on Hulu and Twitch. It was a 45-second ad. It started out with TV static and then flipped to what appeared to be a male standing in an open grass field facing away from the camera with no sound. Then it went back to static, and went to a weird, run-down hospital. I'm assuming because there were old wheelchairs and the mobile hospital beds. I can't think of their names. Again, no sound. Then it went back to the static a bit before showing a woman in old-time clothes. Think like what they wear on old western shows. The woman was facing the camera and was slowly backing up towards it. She started to turn around when it went back to static, and the words, "Don't be scared," appeared on a black background to white text. There was a noise that I can best describe as a pen click, and then went back to static TV. The only sounds in the ad were the TV static and the sound that I could only call a pen click. The two most solid answers given were that it was from an ad for The Ring. However, the OP debunked this as a lead because they were a really big fan of The Ring and would have known for sure if that were the case. Their words, not mine. And it being an ad for the game Don't Be Afraid. However, the OP also stated that this isn't it, as the font used in the game is different than the one that they were calling the ad. This user gave a remark about a similar ad they saw a long time ago. However, this was a long time ago, so not 2018 to 2021 when these ads would have been airing. When I first read this, I just thought this was a bunch of sludge, but honestly, there's too many people recalling a similar event happening for me to just write this off as horseshit. These sightings happened sometime in 2018 to 2021, so it can't be too hard to find, can it? I'm surprised no one cared to screenshot these ads, especially this first guy complaining that he's getting the ad too often. Like, he must know the ad better than his mom.
I defy you, Heartman!
In these troubling times, it's best to sit back and remember someone who should have deserved the honor of being remembered. This man is Heartman. He was a man made of hearts, alright, but for the longest time, no one knew where these images came from, or who the man in the heart suit is. Now, these images can be found all over the internet in various different places. I wouldn't be surprised if you've seen this as someone's profile picture at one point or another. And from there, people would begin to wonder where these images came from. Are they from some movie? Is it a mascot for some business long eaten up by time? Why are you asking me these questions like I know the answer? Now, the first place where these images would be posted online would be from the Tumblr page of one Docpile, an archivist of fashion magazines from the 60s to late 2000s. So I think, just think, it might be from a fashion magazine. A very, very interesting form of fashion. However, finding what fashion magazines these photos come from is easier said than done. Now, this search would kind of fly under the radar for many years until 2024, when a video made by YouTuber Virtual Carbon would bring much attention to the search. And it's a great video that digs deep into trying to find the origin of these photos, doing some detective work I could only wish of achieving. However, it's outdated unfortunately, so sit your ass down and stay with me. Virtual Carbon was able to determine that the images of Heartman came from a magazine. Oh wow, really? That used CMYK printing, which was a cheap form of mass printing as opposed to RGB. And the motion blur and aspect ratio made it clear that these stills were ripped from a VHS tape. Some unknown VHS tape that had eluded us for decades. Now, one thing that Carbon and the searchers struggled to do was to pinpoint when this footage was taken. It proved harder than expected. Thanks to an Isuzu Motors truck that can be seen in one of the stills, we know that the footage cannot be older than 1979. However, that's still a very loose time frame. Carbon would reach out to a Japanese YouTuber named Tubero, who would spread awareness about the case on his Twitter page, and one of the replies would leave this remark. The footage is from August 1982. With this monumental discovery, it was only natural that the search would go stagnant. But hey, in the meantime, we found another guy who dresses just like Heartman. However, he was contacted and he has nothing to do with the original Heartman. This is all just a coincidence. Now, let's go back a few steps. Remember Docpile? One thing I forgot to mention is that Docpile was actually contacted about the origin of these photos. However, he could care less and stated, "This series of photos were intended to be uncredited and remain confusing additions to the internet. Lol. Annoying concept, but part of this means I am dedicated to not reveal much about the image itself. I deal with enough gatekeepers day to day, this does not help." However, Docpile after a while was just like, these idiots are never gonna fucking find it, I'm getting secondhand embarrassment, and posted this to Instagram. A small tidbit of the original magazine that Heartman originated from, alongside this caption, "He really fucking hates us." A Japanese subculture journalist known as Mizushina Baketsu, otherwise known as Water Bucket, took on the challenge to find our Heartman. This image posted by Docpile was more than enough to identify the man. First, looking at the image Docpile posted, the magazines appear to be made of a very high quality paper. At least it's not the same old paper as manga magazines or gossip magazines, and the division between color and white pages is clearly defined. So, if you glance at the contents and see that the paper quality is poor, or conversely, that the entire magazine is in color, you can pass on it. To be honest, there are surprisingly few magazines that deal with art topics with the same level of enthusiasm as Heartman. Most magazines are either dead serious, like the art class, or go beyond pop and treat it as something more like a joke. Through his search, he was led to a 1982 summer issue of Ryuko Sushin magazine, which matched all the check marks for the magazine he was looking for. However, found nothing. But this didn't stop him, and chose to take a peek at the December 1982 issue of Ryuko Sushin magazine. And there he was. The page revealed who this person was. They were a 33-year-old American performer known as Annie Hickman. Wait, Heartman's a woman?! I've been misled. Looking through her other performances, I can definitely say, yep, this is someone who would play Heartman. She has a website, so if you want to read up on all things Heartman actress related, there it is. While Heartman may no longer be unidentified media, it is still lost media, as the VHS that this footage comes from is lost. The magazine reveals to us that these stills come from a film called Lonely Tokyo Hearts, which is still lost to this day. So don't relax yet, we still have work to do. And with that, we have officially finished part 4 of the Unidentified Media Iceberg, and the first half of this entire iceberg. For starters, I just want to say I am so sorry this video took so damn long. The last video came out like July, and this one is coming out December. I lost all motivation to work on this video for 3 whole months because I was just creatively dead out of ideas, and I just couldn't come up with anything. It wasn't until I don't know, early October that I began working on this video, and I've just been super busy this latter half of the year with other stuff that I didn't really have time to dedicate it to silly YouTube videos about shit no one cares about. But yeah, I still can't believe we made it this far to complete the first half of the iceberg. It was a bit of a rocky journey because if you don't know, midway through this, we had gotten the tragic news that icebergcharts.com, the website that hosts over 8,000 icebergs, was being shut down. And that was a huge blow for me because I loved that website. I use that website almost every day, and it's the website that hosted this iceberg that I use for these videos. And so that was a huge blow. The website goes down next year. However, a bunch of people have already started making archives of it, and I've already archived the iceberg, so we can continue working on it long after icebergcharts.com reaches the grave. So it's unfortunate, but it shouldn't be too much of a roadblock. And what's going to be more of a roadblock is when I have to start working on part 5, because if you look, you can see how big the iceberg layers after part 4 go. Part 5 is massive. So layers 1 and 2 were both 8 entries long, which amounted to about 30 to 35 minute videos. And then parts 3 and 4 were 10 entries long, which amounted to about 40 to 45 minute videos. Part 5 is 17 entries, which is almost twice as much as these previous iceberg layers. And there's just so much shit on layer 5 that I want to go super in-depth into, so I would not be surprised if part 5 goes an hour and 30 minutes, because there's just so much shit to talk about the later icebergs. Like part 5 onwards is when we really get into the shitter with this stuff. We get down, deep, and dirty, so be excited for that. Other than that, enjoy your day. Sorry for making you wait so long. And remember, I failed to come up with a punchline. Just end the fucking video.